Welcome back to the ADHD Girls podcast with me, Claire.
And me, Laura.
Right. Today we're going to be talking about how ADHD can lead to exhaustion and how it's looking to what is going on. And let's talk about the invisible load.
Yeah, the mental load of ADHD.
Exactly.
Because obviously we've got our bodies, but I find so much of obviously ADHD is in the mind.
Yeah.
And everything else can be so affected by that.
So, it's this thing about why we might feel bad because from the outside it looks like, oh, but they're just sitting there staring into space, or the scrolling. It's like, yeah, it's what you can't see that's going on.
Yes, the invisible load.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about, so how has ADHD shown up for you this week? And I think for me, it's having quite a lot of rest this week. I'm off from work and we're talking about rest. Some of it's been not doing a lot, but then other times I've tried to think, right, okay, rest could also be, going for a walk. There's many different forms of rest, so spiritual rest, physical rest, mental rest. But yeah, there was a day where I didn't do a lot and I felt a bit guilty, and I was like, oh, I should have done something that day. And it looked like I didn't do a lot that day, but it's actually, we're going to talk today about how when it looks like you're not doing much, what is actually going on.
Yeah.
So how has it shown up for you this week, Laura?
I think, it's just the mental load of I feel I live in my head a lot and trying to, it's like catch-22, isn't it? Where you're aware of it, but you're not sure what to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel ADHD is just really kind of thinking about this, thinking about that, thinking about that. So I've been kind of the analysis paralysis of I'm overthinking. I've not actually achieved much or anything really, but I've overthought everything and I've come back to the conclusion of I'm still not sure.
Right.
And that's my kind of frustration with the whole ADHD thing of how do I get unstuck?
I mean, we've just been for a coffee, and this is like a prime example of how a simple act, going for a coffee, has just caused, certainly myself, and I guess the same for you, Laura, as well, just a lot of mental exhaustion. And I suppose what was going on was it was a really busy queue, and we just wanted a coffee. And there was a big group of people in front of us in the queue. So we thought, we'll go and sit down. There's no point standing around because it's really sort of congested by the service area. So we went and sat down. We could still see.
We ordered our drinks.
Yeah. And so we could see what was going on. And then we thought, we're waiting a while. I thought, better go up. And the people that were in front of us, so we're noticing who's in front of us in order of the queue. And it's like, well, it should be our turn. And so we've gone up to the counter. I think, well, there's people in front of me now that were behind me in the queue. So something's obviously gone wrong here. And I'm like getting really frustrated going, I know for a fact I was about 5 people ahead of this person, yet they're now getting served. And it's just so much going on. So we were trying to sit there. There's a lot of noise. We're taking in everyone where they are, where they're located. I recognise that person, that person, that person. So we're taking all of this in. And then there's the sense of, hang on, someone's jumped the queue and someone's actually taken my drink because I know for a fact that I ordered directly after you. And then I know sort of 5 behind me has now suddenly got the drink. I think, where's mine? And it turns out the big group in front of us took my drink. And so now I've got to deal with the justice sensitivity in my head going, okay, this is really wrong, someone's taking my drink, and all of this. And the only reason we went up to the cafe to get the drink from then rather than outside is because I wanted to pay with cash. And I'm just sort of thinking, why have I made this so difficult? Why is this taking up so much of my morning? Why am I now annoyed, frustrated? And so there's a lot going on that on the surface looks like, oh, you're just ordering coffee and going to sit down.
But then that's where you think when you're in the social settings, you think there should be an order because that's what's right and that's what's fair and that's how for it to function properly, it has to go in that flow and that order. Yeah. And I think we just notice that because it's that, well, that's not happening because people being people. Yes. And it's, I think, that frustration of, I just don't want to deal with this because... Yeah. But we just notice it more because of how our brains work.
So I think we notice we notice things are going wrong before they even go wrong.
So I could see that massive queue and it was just a bit, I think everyone buzzing around instead of it kind of, there's one massive group of people and kind of like, okay, one person stays and takes the order down no, all 8 of us are going to stand around
in the way and it's like you're blocking our view of the area, and it's like I can see what's happened. You've obviously taken that cappuccino. Oh, yeah, that'll be ours. And it's like, no, it's not. And I'm just like, how did this turn into such an exhausting morning?
It's such a basic thing. Let's be honest. It's such a basic thing. Asking for a drink, going over there, waiting for it. It's such a basic thing. But then people make it difficult, and when there's a massive crowd, it's going to somehow go wrong. But it always seems to go wrong when, yeah. And you're there going, just the frustration of like, oh my God, this is such a basic thing. How can it's now turned into something where it's not an enjoyable experience of coming out and getting a drink. It's now just stressful of, I need this coffee because I need to function.
So there's a lot of load going. There's like the constant mental noise around, well, I know that person was there and that person was there. And I'm looking at a T-shirt going, why are they wearing that T-shirt? What does that mean? What does that slogan mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at theirs. I'm thinking that. So we're constantly taking all of this. And then there's like overthinking, like, should I have come here? Should I have just gone and paid downstairs? Would it have been easier? Would it be quicker? And then it's like, now I've got a mask. I've now got to go up to the counter. I've now got to try and speak to the person who's making a coffee and politely say, oh, I think I'm next. But then there's about 4 other people who are staring at me because they're like, oh no, they think they are, even though I know they're not because they were behind me, but they don't know. And I'm trying to keep control of my anger, which is building.
Yes. The injustice is bursting out of
and I'm trying to remember what I ordered as well. I'm trying to remember what Laura ordered. Yeah. So
and there's a lot going, I think there's a lot going on at once. Because it's very busy, and in your mind you're like, right, someone's taken my drink, I want another one. Because we've already, by that point, let's be honest, we've waited 10 minits for this drink.
I think the need for the drink has been and it's gone, and now I'm not ready for the next drink.
Yeah, I'm now annoyed of like, I just want to get out of here because this whole experience is just not what I'm about.
No.
I just want to have a drink, but I find I need coffee for my brain to function. And so it's that like, right, I'd really want this.
It's a bit of a treat, isn't it? It's sort of like, and I've just done a run. Well, I say a run, but it was very disappointing because I ended up walking half of it. Now that's probably also adding to my mental load because I'm thinking, why is that? And again, I'm really judging myself going, oh, you should have been able to run that properly. And I think, again, it's that I am fatigued I'm exhausted. And all of that, I didn't sleep well last night. When I look at it logically, it's like, okay, well, you can't expect to run really well every time. And you've had a tiring week and you didn't sleep well last night. But all that's going on, and there's this constant chatter of like, you failed today. And it's only 11 o'clock. And I feel like a lot's happened this morning.
This is where I feel our brains, there's a lot going on. And I don't know if we realise how much effect that has on our body. Because I find I was talking to someone yesterday and they're saying stress has got such a massive effect on the whole whole system. And obviously people with ADHD now, you might not think you're stressed, but if you're overthinking and replaying things or what about this, what about that, that could slide towards stress because your body's reacting to your thoughts.
But also when we're in that God mode, which we've spoken about before, which is where you feel you can do anything and you're on fire and your productivity is through the roof, that's got to have, for every action's got to have a reaction. So we got to bear in mind, did I spend the day where I was absolutely buzzing, firing on all cylinders? So has that also, we don't tend to think about when we're having our slumps, we don't tend to think about, I had a really manic type day or morning where a lot was going on.
It's normal. We're so in our heads, we don't maybe have time to process. Okay, actually, no, I've had a really, energetic day, or today I've actually had a major mental load and I've done this. And I think because we're just in this constant coping mode.
So yesterday, one of the things I found really quite a difficult task to do was to open a credit card. And I got so frustrated. I dreaded doing it. I knew it's something I have to do. So immediately I'm having that pathological demand avoidance of like, you need to do it. You've got to do it. I don't want to do it. I worked myself up to do it. I psyched myself up and I wrote down what I needed to do, broke it down. And I got into the task. I set a timer. So did all the right things. So this is already taking up a lot of mental load. And I went to go online and to move a balance transfer over, and it didn't work. And I was like, oh, you're joking. And it said, you need to call us. So I called the credit card company, and they're like, oh, we're not open today, of course, because it's a bank holiday. And I was like, no, I'm going to have to now postpone this to another day. And I was all set to do it. So I'd worked myself up to do this task. Everything was ready and I couldn't do it. And then I was like, now what to do? And I was so in that zone of I have to do it. I was now like, open another one. And I was like, no, don't, because that's just going to confuse you. You're going to end up with more load, more paperwork, more. So I really had to rein back and go, but I had to deal with it. There's a lot going on, even just with opening a credit. It's like, I then felt really disappointed in myself, really annoyed at myself, tired mentally from having to psych myself up to do it, and then I wasn't able to follow it through. So there's a lot going on when you think about it.
There is, and I think as well, like with my mind, I think if I have a thing about I'm going to do this and then this and then if there's any disturbance in that pattern of what I've expected to do, I then kind of struggle with, wait a minute, that wasn't supposed to happen. So any kind of setbacks or anything where, like you say, the phone call, but they wasn't open.
Yeah.
My mind will straight away go into, what do I do? Like, this is just so frustrating. I've spent so much time thinking and the energy put in, the mental energy put into doing this, and actually me being able to make this phone call.
The planning, for psyching yourself up.
Yeah.
It's
a massive come down of almost like you're up here.
Yeah.
And then there's this like, that didn't go how I planned. Now what? And you're almost in this thing of like, well, I didn't. What?
It just feels really strange. It's like you're left in limbo. Like, what do I do now? And you feel like you're at that high level of productivity, and then it's like something stops you. So, do you carry on? Do you find something else to replace it, or do you do what I do? Do you sort of go, I've got to do something. I've got to do something immediately. If this doesn't work, I need to try and open another one. You know, what would you do?
I think as well, it can be a big setback, and then I find because I have an emotional reaction to it, I can get very disheartened and kind of just go, oh my God, I'll just give up, because what's the point? Whatever I do is wrong.
Yes.
And it doesn't go to plan. And now I find my emotions rise to the surface quite easily and quite strongly.
So it doesn't take a lot for us to have really strong emotions, does it?
Yeah. And it's trying to regulate that on trying to almost step out of it, because we're so in the moment. I find that it's almost trying to have a chat with yourself of, this isn't the end. It's almost like kind of having a pause and stepping away and kind of almost viewing yourself on, okay, it's not the end of the world. Whatever's happened has happened. Everything's going to continue. You're going to be able to cope and deal with it. And I think my thing is always coping and dealing with it, because with my emotion, I'm so attached emotionally to whatever's happened that I then go, I'm at the peak of emotion and I don't know what to do with that emotion. Where do I put it? Where do I place it? Because it's risen.
Yeah.
I find it's really big. And now I'm just kind of going, whoa, I don't know how to cope. I don't know what to do, because I'm really heightened. All my senses are heightened. Sometimes I do feel like crying over something so stupid that I'm there going, like, if I would sometimes say that, oh God, this happened, and I just wanted to cry.
Well, crying is an emotional release, isn't it? So I think that is really can be really helpful. Yeah.
I think this
where can it go?
Release it. Yeah.
You've got to let it go.
It's built up.
If you cry, or you punch something, punch a pillow, break a plate.
Maybe that's why the people in the gym are ADHD, because they've got all this emotion, and that can be transferred to physical. All this mental energy can be transferred to physical energy.
I mean, yesterday evening, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, I know I should be going to bed soon. And I started washing up, and that sounds okay. Yeah, now I hate washing up, and I don't need to wash up because I've got a dishwasher. Oh. And my partner was like, why are you washing up? And I was like, I don't really know. And I thought about it, and I was like, I need to do something physical.
Yeah.
So I then started washing up, and I was like, and I reminded myself why I hate washing up, because I hate having that feeling of hot water, I hate touching the plate, and I actually managed to break a plate. And it's really weird. The plate basically spontaneously just broke in my hand.
You didn't realise the energy you were...
Yeah. Oh. And his reporter said, I don't know what happened. He goes, oh, it must have had a weakness. I was like, I literally just picked it up, and it went into two. So as I was doing it, he's like, why are you washing it? I was like, I just want to. I think I just needed to do something with my hands. I needed to do a physical act. So, yeah, so this is why ADHD, this is why we are, we have this hyperactivity, which is either expressed physically or mentally. And I think for ADHD women and girls, we generally have kept it in internally.
Yeah.
And I think as adults now, you and I are
struggling to release
we
it.
have our diagnosis, we know what we are, and I think it's really important that we remind ourselves we can release it physically.
Yes,
and
but it's just figuring it out, because everything's every scenario is different. So sometimes you might think, right, I need to cry, go for a walk.
Yeah.
I sometimes listen to music with headphones, and sometimes I will listen to that thing of that song just connects.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, this is the song now. This is going to be the song for the next 2 days, and then never want to hear the song again. There's just something where
the next time.
Certain songs just, kind of, just you connect to it at that time, whatever you're going through, and you're like, this is my release in a sense. And sometimes it's going to sound stupid, but I find sometimes laying down doing nothing is also a release.
Yeah, it can be, definitely.
Because because we talk about before recharging, and sometimes it's, for me, such a big thing of sometimes I don't know whether or not I need to release something or to recharge.
Yes, it's really difficult to tell, isn't it?
Because my brain's just going like, okay, I've got emotion, I'm emotional, there's a situation, and I'm feeling a lot of different things. I'm feeling pretty much everything at once.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do. I'm pretty much scrambled. It's almost like my brain is malfunctioning and I just don't know what to do with it.
So I think post-diagnosis is so important for me to have had a diagnosis, because now I know what's going on, and it's like, it's okay to be doing that. It's okay to, women and girls are socialised to not express this hyperactivity.
Or you're emotional, or you're sensitive,
too emotional,
or you're this, or everyone else copes, or
if you smash things or whatever, or you're being clumsy, you mustn't be clumsy, you mustn't break things. Whereas I feel like a boy would be much more socialised to go, okay, he can go out and smash things up and break things, because boys are like that, they're boisterous.
Boisterous, yeah,
and that's okay. And I feel that we were socialised not to do that through all different aspects of society. And even now, and it's like, so, we're here to say, basically, if you need to go and smash things up, you need to go and do, within, try not to break anything really important.
Maybe don't walk into IKEA and start smashing up the joint, but find something.
Don't hurt yourself.
Go to IKEA, they've got cheap stuff, and buy something, then find somewhere where you can smash it up and it's a safe place.
Well, I think we need to try these rage rooms,
Oh my God, yeah, that would... we could go to IKEA, find a safe space, buy some cheap stuff and just start smashing it up.
It's like IKEA's still cheap.
Well, it's debatable.
Everything's going up in price, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another thing. But yeah, it's finding recharge and release. And I think the mental load we carry it's good to kind of really say, right, yeah, it is too much. It can sometimes be, you've got the emotional reaction. And to be honest, try different things.
I mean,
maybe just go,
ADHD brains do generally use up more energy.
Yes.
And, rest is regulation. And for me, I was trying that mat, the Shakti mat.
Yeah, how did that go?
Well, I really like it, but of course I forget to use it. Because I've lost interest in it. But it does.
Cupboard and you've forgotten.
It's not a cupboard, it is on the floor. But I do really like it. But what I was going to say about that, although it is restful, as in you lying on a mat, it's actually invigorating as well, because the spikes are helping the blood flow. So I just feel it does give a reset. Just to remind everyone about the Shakti mat. We spoke about it a few episodes ago. It's a mat that you lie on. It's got lots of little spikes on it. When you lie on your back, when you first get on it, it's really painful. And then after about 5 minutes or so, it does increase the blood flow, and it just kind of settles the mind. So that's something that I'll try. And then, you don't have to justify being exhausted.
Well, this is it. Tired doesn't mean you're lazy. Tired means you're tired. Tired means that, and you don't need to justify your tiredness to absolutely anyone, including yourself.
No.
However you feel is how you feel. And you're feeling that for a reason. I think that's the most important thing. You are feeling however you're feeling for a valid reason. And however that is, whatever's going on is going on. It's sometimes just difficult to exactly identify it and to know, right, what do I do?
And then sometimes if you don't have a reason, that's okay as well. Sometimes if you can't think of a reason, don't worry, because there will be a reason.
There will be a reason.
If you haven't got time to think back and analyse it, because sometimes you haven't, it's okay to just go, I'm obviously done something that's been really mentally draining. Like I say, even that coffee scenario is actually taken up a huge amount of my bandwidth this morning. Yeah.
And people will be people. And it's just trying to learn how to, the other thing is for me is how what people do and letting it not affect you.
I think we're still learning our limits.
Yeah, I think you're always going to be learning, because you're going through, your body's got, hormones, all these things going. There's so much in the human body that is going on. And the lives that we have, especially at the moment with the cost of living and everything, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of aggravators and things that will, oh, you have to deal with this. Now you have to deal with this. Now you have to do it. It's not a natural setting for us. Let's be honest. We're the only things on this planet that deal with all these weird things.
And I think it's the ADHD people. We would have been the ones, many thousands of years ago that would have been out roaming and looking at things and checking out the dangers. And, some would have stayed in the not homestead or whatever, but we'd have been out roaming around and coming back and saying, well, I've spotted this is coming, I've looked at the clouds configuration, I've been over there, this is coming in. So, that's not compatible with sitting in an office.
With fluorescent lights, with phones going, people buzzing, people go, oh my God, look at this. Oh,
it's not compatible with commuting or whatever.
And it's not even that, but it's the information load I find, because there's an email or there's this message or that, and then this, and then you have to reply to that, and then you have to organise this, and then there's always something
we
to
notice
do.
The details. A lot of people might just go, oh, I don't bother reading them, but I find with emails and that, it's like, oh, but there might be something in there that could be the next great idea.
Yes.
And I can't miss it.
And then you also want to take that time for yourself, for your interests. So you've got such a load with, let's say, family, social, all the, work, all these different social aspects. And then you almost feel like, well, when do I do the stuff I want to do? And it's trying to fit everything in. That's when the mental load can be a bit too much, on top of how that's affecting your body. So no wonder that maybe everyone's a bit like, it's a bit too much. There's a lot going on.
So we've come to the end of this week's podcast, and what we usually do is something called a no shame zone, where we look at something, a pattern or behaviour where we used to get shamed for it, and now we look at it from a lens of ADHD. I think we've talked a lot today about feeling tired but feeling guilty, and why you're exhausted even when it's a quiet day. So for today, let's have no shame in the no shame zone, and let's say, there is no shame if you cancel plans this week to protect your energy, if your only aim was to have rest.
Yeah, I think this is where I think shame for ADHD girls, it's such a strong connection.
Yeah.
Because I should be. And we take, I feel, on board a lot of what people say about us, and we're very conscious. And shame can be right there it filters into so many points of view.
Yeah. And we can feel shame over our productivity, but
yeah,
for this week,
all like, however you feel, and I feel you compare yourself to others. Oh, that person's doing this, that person's doing that, and I'm not.
Yes,
but then that person, everyone has their own struggles and battles, but you just have to kind of maybe not focus on other people and just go, right, it's however I'm feeling is fine, and it's try and reframe shame. Into, well, I'm feeling like this for a reason. What is my body or mind trying to tell me?
Yep.
And just go, right, maybe I just need a walk, or I need to read a book, or I need to... There's a reason for however you're feeling.
Say no to shame this week.
Yeah, no shame. It's how you feel.
Yep.
It's valid. And...
All valid.
You're human. You're human having a human experience. With an ADHD brain, which, it's like you've got the gaming level set on hard and you haven't got a controller. You're just, doing what you can.
So we will see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.